U.S. Fed hike. Let's get Krishna back on the show. Krishna, this is what many are calling the biggest hike in 22 years, or the highest that rates have been in the last 20. Some are saying 16, Karthik can correct me. Some are saying 16 years.
22 years. 22 years since we saw the 5.5% interest rate. But the range, US unlike India has a range of between 5.25 and 5.5. So in that range, 5.25 is something we saw 16 years ago. 5.5 is something we saw only in 2001. Krishna.
Absolutely right, Karthik. Since 2001, highest rates since then. We're talking about about around a dozen rate hikes since March 2022. In the last 1 year or so, more than a dozen, nearly a dozen rate hikes. 11th rate hike, by the U.S. Fed. And also, what's important to bear in mind is that the guidance that was given along with this rate hike, that there is room for more rate hikes going forward by the U.S. Fed as well. This won't be the last, and this rate hike was up for a 25 basis point or a 0.25% rate hike that we're talking about over here. And all of this is coming on the fact that inflation in the U.S. is not where the U.S. Fed's target is. In fact, it's double of U.S. Fed's target of just around 2%, more than double. So inflation in the U.S. is still above that 4% mark, and that's the reason why you're seeing the U.S. Fed, United States of America's central bank, keep that hawkish stance, as it's called, hawkish stance of keeping interest rates on the upward swing, continuing with that and not holding on to that rate, and in fact saying that this is a rate hike. Is the 11th rate hike in about a year's time. This could be more going forward. So that's where the U.S. Fed stands as of now. All of it is purely driven by the American central banks, wanting to control inflation, which is hovering about the 4% mark in the U.S. Shweta. And that should tell Indian banks and Indian interest rates where they are going as well.
Okay, inflation continues to be above the 2% threshold at the moment. After a pause, we've seen a rate hike. Is this likely to continue, or is this it for now, Karthik?
So, Shweta, I think it completely depends again on data and what this rate hike of 25 basis points is going to mean for inflation in the US. And that data is going to come a month too late. So, I don't think right now we can put a finger on whether this is the final in the installments of rate hikes that we have seen from the US or not. But I think any further tightening than this is going to spell doom for the US economy, and that is not going to augment well for overall the economy of the world, not just US alone.
Absolutely.
So not just consumption, I think overall discretionary spending that we spoke about earlier on the show.
Offtake of loans.
Offtake of loans, discretionary spending, chances of recession, all of that augments itself even further if there is further tightening. So US will have to live with whatever inflation that gets thrown up in numbers after this rate hike, and not tinker too much with monetary policy for at least another 6 months or so. If it does that, it could be catastrophic for the economy.
Well, not sure whether monetary policy will be tightened, but something for sure that Jerome Powell said this, and the statement that I'm reading at this point in time, we'll be comfortable cutting rates when we are comfortable cutting rates, but it won't happen this year. So you can't expect...
Cutting rates is out of the question.
It will not happen this year. Whether monetary policy is going to be tightened further, we don't know. But remember, this is the 11th consecutive hike. Yes, Amit.
Yeah, their economy grew at 1.8%. So I don't think so. They should be going in for more rate hikes because they are dealing with that.
Okay. High inflation, low growth,
stagflation. The typical definition of stagflation. Right? Your rate of growth is lower than the rate of inflation.
Absolutely.
How do you grow?
And how do you maneuver these
And how do you prevent yourself from slipping into recession?
How do you stop yourself from slipping into recession? All that, of course, will be for FOMC, for US Fed to decide in months to come. But with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Thanks very much for watching.